Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a triple commentary done by myself, Moltrap, and I'm here with Klazart and Diggity as well. And we are going to be doing the entirety from beginning to end, from the very first drone being built by White Zerg Jaedong at the 3 o'clock position, or kind of 2:30 p.m. position, till the very end of the last game. When hopefully it doesn't take as excruciatingly long as much did to GG in their Pro League match earlier this week, where Much was dead for a good 10 minutes before the game ended. But in any case, this is Much versus Jaedong. This is the semifinals. The winner of this match goes on to face the winner of Flash versus 4GG in the finals for the MSL. We're very much looking forward to this game. We saw some good play from both these players in that Pro League game that happened just a few days ago. So looking forward to some more exciting play today.
In the meantime, it looks like we're going to see Much starting at, again, this 6 o'clock location. He's going to go out, immediately going to take his fast expansion. Looks like he's setting up for a pseudo Bisu build. I know people don't like it being called that unless it goes Dark Templar, but he was he's the guy who coined it and kept it going. But going to go for a fast expansion Forge most likely and sending his scout directly into Jaedong's space. And I think the key to this match, especially it being on Athena, is going to be scouting. Overlords need to be out in the field, and likewise observers need to be all over the map. You need to keep track of your opponent's units, because there's so many ways to move around, there's so many ways to flank, and honestly I feel like that's going to favor Jaedong, especially the way he's been playing lately. Especially in that last game against Much, he just outmaneuvered him left and right, so Much is going to have a hard time dealing with this, and it looks like, yeah, Jaedong's going to open up with the 9 pool. Actually, I'm sorry, a 12 pool. He's got an Overlord just kind of scooting out of the base, so going to go for a little bit quick pressure. But in the meantime, it looks like Much is going to come down, put down that Nexus, and maybe one can. We'll see. He's, of course, going to get that Forge first. And actually, no, he's skipping. For a second there, I thought he was going to skip the Forge, so where he was moving that probe. But nevertheless, yeah, I really feel like a map like this where you can move the units around a lot, and there's just a lot of maneuverability, and in the meantime, denying that secondary and putting a pylon down too to make sure that he can't get the hatchery down. Very nice, getting every little bit of an advantage he can. That's definitely going to distract the Zergling once they come out. Spawning pool almost done. But yeah, I really feel like the troop movement effect on this map is really going to favor Jaedong, especially after that last match, the commentary of the week that we saw.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, if you hadn't mentioned, I was going to say we're going to spoil the commentary of the week, so if you haven't seen it yet, now will be the time to switch off for those of you guys who are listening on YouTube, but it's a little too late for that. Much got absolutely destroyed in the commentary of the week, but it'll be interesting to see if he was just playing possum in that game, maybe trying to let Jaedong get a little bit overconfident, and obviously it was on Katrina, so it's impossible to say how the games will play out on these maps, which are the more modern maps. The maps probably that Much is more likely to have practice on and be more proficient in. Jaedong, Much able to delay Jaedong slightly. I'm not sure if going 12 pool is going to work to Jaedong's advantage or not. He's going to have the early Zerglings, and I suppose he has forced Much at the very least to put that Forge down. The critical difference between the game we saw yesterday and the game and this matchup, obviously, is the scout. This time it's been Much who's gotten the early scout on his opponent and knows exactly what Jaedong is up to, and therefore obviously was able to adapt his strategy accordingly. It did look for a second that despite the fact that he had his probe in there, that he was going to put the Nexus down first, but he didn't do that. Clever move by Jaedong as well, realizing that Much has gone for has obviously gone for a fast expand. Because the pylon was blocking his hatchery from being put down in his natural expo, he put the hatchery down in a slightly off position, and I was really worried because I was not sure why he was doing that, what he was up to. I presumed at some stage he would be putting another hatchery down, so Jaedong cleverly has adapted himself into now a 3 hatchery build after going 12 pool by putting the second hatchery down in his natural expo position, so he will be able to reap the benefits of that gas. One of the things that Jaedong did so well in the last game was denying Much the scout as much as he could, killing the probes and not letting Much get into his base, and this time it'll be interesting to see if he can maintain it as well. Meanwhile, Cybernetics core going up for Much. So they are already starting up for Jaedong, and I think it's going to be critical here because we did see a probe heading towards Jaedong's base. I think that Jaedong has managed to intercept that probe. So once again, this is crucial here. Too many Zerg players, and this is really the difference. This is the stage. This is the semifinals. This is where we separate proverbially the Starcraft men from the Starcraft boys. That being said, Flash being 16 years old, but in terms of his skill, obviously, he's superior to people twice his age. But yeah, this is where it gets serious. There's no place to hide anymore. You can't can't just sneak by on weak opponents and counting on luck. This is a best of 5, so you can't just hope to sneak a couple of wins in. You've got to win 3 games against your opponents. And I think cheese or no cheese, luck or no luck, skill or no skill, ultimately the player who comes out on top in a best of 5 is usually deserving of it. So there's no place to hide, and we're going to see just what kind of stuff Much is made of here as he goes up against Jaedong, who's been here before, obviously.
And Jaedong doing an excellent job in general, I think, of adapting to everything that Much is doing. In fact, I think he actually went for it looked like he was going for a 12 hatchery, and he actually went for the 12 pool first. And Jaedong getting a Spire down now. We haven't seen a Hydralisk Den even here, so Jaedong might even be going for some kind of a 3-hatch Muta rush. He does have 2 gases going, I believe. I may have seen that wrong in his Nas. Oh, and now he's getting a 4th base up, actually. But Jaedong just basically adapting to everything that Much is doing turn for turn. He got the pool instead of the hatchery because he couldn't place the hatchery down. The pylon went down. He put the hatchery in a different place that was still effective, and doing an excellent job here. And I think, he has an Overlord inside Much's base as well, or he did at least. So he knows that Much is just now getting a Stargate up. I think that it looks like the Overlord did get chased away there. But basically, Jaedong knows that Much doesn't really have anything for Mutalisks right now because his Stargate is going up a little bit late since he did have to put down cannons and such first. So these Mutalisks, I think, are going to catch Much off guard. He's going to have 2 or 3 Corsairs out, I think, by the time those Mutalisks arrive. But Jaedong, knowing him, he'll throw a few Scourges into the mix, and that will easily take care of the few Corsairs that will be there. Unless Much puts down like a second Stargate out of sheer psychicness right now, then he is probably going to get bowled over by Mutalisks.
Actually, I don't think, Jaedong not going for the mules. He's getting that Hydralisk Den down there. With that additional hatchery at the 12 o'clock location, as well as another hatchery going up the 9 o'clock location, he just did not have the resources to do it. Producing a lot of Scourge in the meantime, wants to make sure that his Overlord count keeps high. And I feel like he's playing right into Much's hands here. Again, I feel like Dark Templar are very strong in this map because they can wander across large portions of area, force the Overlords to kind of get exposed. This is really powerful. I didn't really think about it until just now, but this is a very powerful map for the Dark Templar Corsair combination. Right now, Much trying to run away from the Scourge, get back behind the cannon line. He is going to be able to save, and Jaedong probably going to hold up short. But in the meantime, what Much needs to do, needs to get that Corsair back in the field, scout that 12 o'clock location, and also scout that 9 o'clock location, because you can see Jaedong taking a huge risk right here, basically relying on the fact that Much is not going to go with any sort of aggressive action at this point, and putting up 2 quick hives in the meantime, and not pushing anything into Much's base. Usually the stage of the game we see the Zerg being aggressive against the Protoss player. Now that first Dark Templar, that Dark Templar has to go to the 9 o'clock or has to go to the 12 o'clock. It's got to do some damage inside Jaedong's base. Otherwise, Jaedong's going to be at 4 gas very early in this stage. And honestly, seeing his macro, especially in the commentary of the week, that's going to be extremely dangerous. As you can see, wow, Jaedong's already got the 3 Overlords in the Sunken Colony. So those Dark Templar need to be psychic here. They need to start patrolling out to that 9 o'clock location. This is a brilliant maneuver by Jaedong. He's got Scourge out in the field to keep the Corsairs from really doing all their scouting, and basically, and then really risky putting out that 9 o'clock expansion where who knows if Much will be able to scout it.
Yeah, I have to say, this is a little bit reminiscent of what we saw between Flash and Lomo, where Jaedong is, despite the fact that Much got the jump on him in terms of scouts, Jaedong is dictating the game to his opponent. Unfortunately, those DTs are out of sunken range for Jaedong, but it's not going to bother him too much, even if he loses that 3rd gas. He's now got a couple of Zerglings in to deal with those Dark Templar, trying to lure those Dark Templar within range of the Sunkens. But Jaedong has played an absolute genius game here. I think even if he loses the Extractor, it's not going to slow him down significantly, because he's got that other expansion at the 9 o'clock position, which I'm sure Much has no idea is up. Jaedong's sunken positioning slightly off there, Much getting the kill on that Extractor, and yes, he's taken that 3rd gas down, but he's not been able to effect too much damage on the base. And I think Jaedong's economy is going to power ahead here, and Much seems to have blocked himself in. And Jaedong has now produced a fleet of Mutalisks and Scourges. But yeah, Jaedong being precognizant in his strategy, I think it really was a stroke of genius, because he's obviously realized that he's spreading himself a little bit thin by going for the 2 extra expansions so early on. But at the same time, he produced so many Scourges, and that was primarily to prevent Much from getting any sort of meaningful scout off, and also obviously to protect his Overlords in case he did get scouted. So even though he took a big risk by expanding, he obviously calculated and factored in the way his opponent might respond to that risk, and essentially he's taken control of the map, and his opponent, even though he's fast expanded, because his opponent's gotten the fast gone the fast expander, he really doesn't have enough units on the ground at this point in time to make any sort of meaningful push out. And now Jaedong is also applying pressure with the Mutalisk. Decent storm there by Much to keep him out. So it's going to be really up to Much to try and affect. If Much can get a decent sized force on the ground, get a push going of some sort, he could potentially, because obviously Jaedong's defenses are going to be spread out over a larger area. But the big problem for Much is Jaedong's economy continues to power up. The longer these expansions stay up, and I think Jaedong has started another one, the longer these expansions stay up, the further ahead Jaedong is going to pull ahead of Much. And I think it's going to be incredibly difficult. Another Corsair getting picked off, and Much really needs to do something here. He cannot allow Jaedong to have this level of initiative.
Just in my own defense real quick, I could have sworn that Jaedong had a second gas, so sorry about totally going crazy about the Muta Rush. That didn't exactly happen. He has gone for Mutalist now, though, and I really like what Much has done, going for the quick Dark Archon. Oh, another Storm catching a lot of Mutalisks. Those Mutalisks are all almost dead now. They've taken a couple Storms over the last few minutes, and they're very badly damaged. Oh, and another Storm! It looks like he's only lost a couple, but I don't think he's going to be able to engage with those anytime soon. Most of them are very badly damaged. But yeah, Dark Archon, kind of like the Protoss version of the Science Vessel in a way. One spell, instead of irradiate, the Maelstrom can destroy an entire squad of Mutalisks pretty easily. The Maelstrom followed up by a Storm on top of them or something like that can destroy them pretty well. So I think that was a brilliant move by Much to get that very quickly, and really he's been able to, he's been doing good Storms actually, and that's kept Jaedong away, but I think the Dark Archon would keep Jaedong from doing too much damage with a lot of Mutalisks, so that's good on him. And so it's going to be interesting to see if Jaedong can adapt again and see what he does. He does have 4 bases to Much's 2, and that is not good for Much. It looks like Much is going to try and push out now to try and attain that 3rd base, and if he does not get that 3rd base, he's going to be way too far behind economically, I think. Jaedong with actually 5 bases now.
Yeah, I almost think that Much was playing very conservatively. He's got a big Dragoon force out right now, but honestly, I feel like it's still too much. And Jaedong out in the field, and I really feel out of these 5-6 hatcheries. And now, oh, Maelstrom. Nice Maelstrom those Mutalisks, though. Going to be able to come back and cream them at the very least. But honestly, I think Much needs to Norg the Mutalisks and immediately go for Jaedong's base. Right now, Jaedong's producing additional troops, and it's just is macroing up. And if he doesn't hurry up and take something out right now, he's not going to have the opportunity to inflict any damage. He's just going to be overrun by Zerglings, Ultralisks, whatever higher tech. He's at 5 gas. He's got the 5 bases up. Now's the time to produce troops, and he just really. And now he's putting down a bunch of Sunken colonies in defense, as you can see. That's a pretty smart maneuver. But the question is, if he can stop these Dragoons, that's going to be it, in my opinion. Jaedong's just going to be way too far economically ahead. He's got a lot of Mutalisks pushing in. Maybe there's one more Maelstrom inside that Dark Archon, and now pushing up. And it looks like Much actually be able to push this. And if he can take this out in the 12 o'clock location, he'll be right back in the game.
Yeah, I still think Jaedong's in a very strong position because Jaedong has a capacity because I think Much has not yet either scouted the 9 o'clock position or he's decided to go for the juggler here. But he looks to be losing this battle. This might be it. This might be GG. Unfortunately, that Archon's Maelstrom was used up. Jaedong forcing Much. I have to say, Jaedong's positioning and tactics and attack tactics have been brilliant. He always brought his Mutalists in from the rear to take out the High Templar, and even though he's losing this expansion, it's not going to bother him too much because most of the Dragoons are down, and Much has just got reinforcements pouring in, and the key here is Much's ability, because he's got so many expansions and so many bases, it's Much's ability to reproduce, and Jaedong's ability to replenish his army literally in moments and seconds, and even though Much has won this battle, it's a great cost to him, and for Jaedong, I think sacrificing that expansion at the cost of taking out pretty much all of Much's ground forces, which will take Much a relatively long time to build up again, by which time Jaedong will power ahead. Much has managed to kill 2 expansions. I still think Jaedong is in prime position because he still has that 3rd gas going, he still has that expansion at the 9 o'clock position, he's going to be able to counter quite soon, and Much has lost all of his forces. So I think Jaedong again, and his Mutalist micro has been quite spectacular. He's been picking off those he's been picking off the High Templar, minimizing the number of storms that his opponent can affect. He's also got a Scourge to scout out that expansion that Much is going to try and set up, and now you can see that Much has hardly any troops on the ground, and Jaedong is just going to come in with his massive Mutalist fleet and wipe the floor with that new expansion that Much is going to try and set up. Meanwhile, Jaedong trying to get a defense going at the 9 o'clock position. He doesn't seem to have a lot of drones there, but the key is that he does still have the advantage of that 3rd gas. He does have a much higher production capacity on those Mutalisks, and Much trying to be clever here, just trying to send lone Zealots in to try try and keep Jaedong's force occupied. He knows that he needs to keep Jaedong occupied for as long as possible, keep those mutants occupied so that he can get his own base up and running. But meanwhile, Jaedong is going to get enough Sunkens in, and his defense is going to be in a strong position. And it's only a matter of time before Jaedong counters that off expansion at the 6 o'clock position. And once that expansion goes down, that's going to be pretty much it. High Templar in. I'm not sure if they're going to make it in time.
Yeah, and now the Mutalisk, picking off the pylon, the one pylon in the middle of that array of cannons, disabling all the cannons, and now it's going to be really difficult for Much to break up into his own base to protect that new base and put another pylon down. Okay, never mind. Jaedong did back off, so he was able to get up there after all, because it's hard to get up that little ramp there. Another cannon warping in, but that doesn't matter. There's no pylons in the area at all. And the probe is not even nearby. Well, it's nearby, but it's not that nearby. Much actually is doing a pretty decent job of, harassing Jaedong, going around to different places. He's managed to kill off all the Sunkens and several drones at that location at the 9 o'clock. But yeah, Jaedong is just putting out way too many troops right now. He is down to basically 3 functional bases at this point, so it's actually not too bad. Oh, if he loses this base, that could be really bad for him. It looks like he barely takes out the Zealots before they kill off that hatchery. He needs to be careful, though, because there are 2 more Zealots that might go in and snipe it off. He is going to kill those Zealots off. And I think that was the opportunity that Much had to maybe turn the game back into a winnable position for him, because, you saw that battle where he was attacking Jaedong's expansion over there, and you're right, he basically killed off most of Jaedong's army, but Jaedong brought in a new army completely from scratch during the course of that battle, and Much is not going to be able to keep up with that. Much is almost mined out in his main, so in a matter of seconds, he's going to be down to basically 1 base versus, Jaedong's going to get back up to 3 or 4 pretty quickly, so I think Much may have missed his window of opportunity. If not, he's going to have to do something very quickly.
Wow, Jaedong's just playing this perfectly right now, going with the rest of Mutalisk harass. He knows that Much's one opportunity right here is to do a suicide attack against his front door, in my opinion. Going for these expansions at the 9 o'clock, the 12 o'clock, Jaedong could just throw down hatcheries, not even worry about them, and then just pick off Zealots as they're coming around. What Much needs to do, I think it's his last opportunity to take this game down, is just barrel down that front door. I don't even think he has enough troops to break it, really, and maybe hopefully catch those Mutalisk out of position now that that Dark Archon's gone. Really, if he gets this expansion up, I think it's just going to be too late. I really feel that's too late in the game. That's also giving Jaedong an opportunity to retake the map, and there's too much gas that Jaedong has stored up. As you can see, he was mining 4 or 5 gas there for quite a lot of time, and he's just got a huge Mutalisk force up in the air, and Much, for whatever reason, didn't go double gate. I was really hoping he'd go double gate on a map like this. I really felt like I was saying that double gate with the Dark Templar running across the map was a potentially very powerful combination, but as a result, the early Mutalisk from Jaedong just really dominating, completely foregoing any sort of ground troop movement, and just really taking to the air, and just is again outmaneuvered Much left and right. And I think it's going to be the death knell right here, Psystorm, but all the Mutalisks avoid it. It looks like they're going to pull off just a minute, but it's just 2 cannons, actually a couple cannons in the background, but still I don't think Much is going to be able to get additional expansions up, and right now all of his probes are just getting massacred left and right, and he's just dodging in and out of it, taking a lot of damage actually on those storms. But now we'll see. It's up to Much. Much has got to push up right now and do something drastic, and if he doesn't, I think Jaedong's just going to barrel down in a minute.
Yeah, to be honest, I do feel that this game is probably beyond Much's grasp. The only thing that is still in his favor is that Jaedong doesn't have a lot of defenses at his new expansions, and some of his Mutalisks have been stormed out, so he is a little bit vulnerable to a counterattack right now from Much, but he's got a massive fleet of Mutalisks built up. Jaedong trying to go for the counter, tons and tons of cannons at that position, as well as High Templar. And looks like Jaedong is going to surrender another expansion here, because Much is heading up for that 12 o'clock expansion. Jaedong now coming into counter with those Mutalisks. He's just trying to delay Much a little bit with that drone. Looks like he's going to actually surrender that expansion. Looks like he's going to not try and defend that expansion, and is instead going to focus his forces on taking out Much's either expansion that he set up at the off 6 o'clock expo. And again, Jaedong going in. Much this time doesn't have the benefit of a storm to defend, help those cannons. Those cannons are just going to get picked off so easily by Jaedong, and I have to say, it's a refreshing breath of fresh air to see a Zerg player go for this kind of strategy, go for mass mutalists and expand like crazy and risk it all and expose himself. But it looks like now Jaedong's going to be in a little bit of trouble here, but I still think that he's got more troops on the ground as well as more defenses in his base to be able to recover from this as compared to Much, because he is going to probably lose his expansion now at the 9 o'clock position. Much wasting precious time on those Sunkens. He should just focus that hatchery down, because this is going to give Jaedong the time to bring it. This is going to be it. This is going to be the final chance. Much had one chance to take that hatchery down and slow Jaedong's production to keep himself in the game, but he didn't focus it down. He was trying to kill the Sunkens, and unfortunately now his Dragoons are going to get wiped out by Jaedong's and this is going to be GG right here. This is going to be the killing blow. But I have to say, this is what you see. This is what happens when you surrender air superiority to a Zerg player who's willing to take it. And Much essentially, once Jaedong took out that first Corsair, and since he only had the one Stargate, he was forced to surrender air superiority to Jaedong. And Jaedong, with free run of the map with his Mutalist, was able to expand at will, control the game, and crucially, more crucially, was able to snipe High Templar at critical points. He was able to go raiding deep into the enemy territory and snipe High Templar, snipe Dark Archons. The second Dark Archon got sniped before he could do anything much, once again going in to try and get a snipe off. And really, this game is a testament to Jaedong's Mutalist. Testament to Jaedong's Mutalist micro, and I don't think I've seen a better performance from a Zerg player versus a Protoss, at least in terms of the ingenuity that Jaedong has executed, and also his Mutalist control has been downright spectacular, and he's going to fully deserve this victory that he's going to take now. Looks like Much making one final attempt at that expansion at the 9 o'clock position before he's going to GG. I don't think he's going to succeed.
If he did manage to succeed, he's managed to take out all of Jaedong's other expansions, actually. I think Jaedong is pretty much mined out, too. They're both mined out in their mains at this point. And Jaedong, Much with actually a pretty good idea to go out with a few Archons and a Templar and a Dark Archon, hoping that he could catch all of those Mutalists together with one Maelstrom and then just take them out with the Templar and the Archons. But Jaedong, I think, is too smart for that. You saw him, actually, he saw the Archons, and he actually separated out his Mutalisks. Well, it may have just been because he had them in different groups here. But he looks like he's... Oh, and he goes in to snipe the Templar again! Templar Storm going off. His Dark Archon is nowhere nearby. He needs... There goes the Maelstrom, but I think he's out of Storm. Does he have one Storm left? He does have one Storm left. He gets a lot of Storm off on those Mutalisks. But in the meantime, all of his troops are dead. He gets a Maelstrom off on the second half of Jaedong's remaining Mutalisks, but he did not have anything to clean them up with. And it's really... I think Much actually could have taken that game if he'd managed to do that engagement out in the open, kill off those Mutalisks, and then go in and take out that base. But he didn't quite have that opportunity.
Wow,
yeah,
Jaedong...
Sorry,
I felt like Jaedong... That's okay. I felt like Jaedong went in with a game plan where Much did not. Jaedong went in with air superiority, went for quick expansions, put the Scourge up in the air for defense against any sort of spot, and Much